A warm welcome back to IT and Trades, and it's safe to say that it's been a very stressful week. It's been a long week for traders globally, and I think, if you could have survived this market during this week, you can survive basically any market. Now, congrats to you if you made some money off of the markets this week. I think it was one of my personally one of my toughest trading weeks. Learned a lot of lessons, right? But luckily, we managed to turn the week into a positive one. The past couple of weeks, I've been making wins, I've been making losses, and it's been all over the place, really. Today and this week, I actually stuck to my rules. Some went against me, and luckily, the majority went in my favor. So, guys, once again, this is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. Trading leveraged instruments with your capital is a risky thing to do. So please always apply risk management. Don't do something stupid like I did in the past. Don't over leverage. Don't trade lots that is too big for your account. I'm just an average guy trying to succeed at trading just like you are. I'm by no means a millionaire. I'm by no means a professional grade trader. But, I try and share my journey with you guys as much as possible. So we managed to turn this week into a slightly positive one, making a few hundred this week. Not my best week, but also actually it could have been much worse had I not stuck to my rules. Now, what I want to go through that are my best trade this week actually was on silver. And, if we take a look at this chart for a moment here, if you go to let's go to the 4-hour chart, right? Now, as you can see currently, we're actually pushing off of these lows, which is very nice to see. But anyway, we were basically, from 2 weeks back until about the 26th, what was the 18th, we were in this range, right? We were pretty much chopping around, not really having any direction. But I explained in the previous video this exact setup. I drew this falling wedge and I told you guys that I'm anticipating a break of this falling wedge. And lo and behold, this is what silver did. Now, unfortunately for me, I did not get in as early as I had planned, right? If I were to get in here, especially with this formation, let me just draw this for you guys. Let me just point this out for you. Obviously, we can see price forming a W pattern here. Breaking out of the W pattern, breaking the neckline of the W pattern, continuing on. Then, after this breakout, consolidating, right, accumulation, and then expansion again. So this, or distribution rather. But anyway, guys, yeah, had I took this setup, unfortunately, as you guys can see, it was at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I was a little bit late on that, and I couldn't enter up here. I was not willing to risk that. Anyway, we managed to actually get a very decent setup. So after this falling wedge here that you guys can see, now this is an enormous falling wedge, right? For a falling wedge is normally indicative of, diminishing selling power. Now we saw this big drop with lots and lots of volume, and then we kind of saw that price was struggling to break lows, right? It wasn't really breaking any more lows, which signified that sellers are getting exhausted. Now, that was the first thing to look at. Now, what frustrates me personally, I don't know about you guys, is in my head, I could see this happening, and yet I didn't react to it. And I don't know what type of inertia that is that we have as traders, but it's frustrating. And with time, you learn to actually just trust your own analysis. If it hits your stop, it hits your stop, and that's why you should apply risk management. Right, but anyway, so we broke out of this falling wedge. Right, we consolidated, we saw another good spike up, and this is where things got interesting, and this is where I grabbed the opportunity. So I went back, and after this consolidation broke out, it had to retest this zone again, right? As it did here. Oh my goodness, okay, I was not meant to do that. But yeah, so price broke out, right? We saw a bit of sideways movement, and price retested this zone. They're crucial, guys, crucial. Many of us, and including the past version of myself, we would enter somewhere here, we would enter somewhere up top here when we see this breakup, and that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to wait for a corrective pullback. So we waited, and as we can see here, what happened? We formed this nice falling wedge again, right? Nice falling wedge. Price retested, created this liquidity grab, as you guys can see. Let me just delete this one, and also delete this one. Okay, yeah, so price created this liquidity grab under the zone, grabbed a bit of liquidity, closed above this previous resistance, which is now support, and broke out of this falling wedge as well. And this is where we got the trade of the week, right? This is where we got the trade of the week. Very good trade here on silver. Now, I must say that my entry was a bit aggressive. I should have actually waited to see if this was a valid breakout of the falling wedge, but it turns out it was. And this was what was the auto? A 1:3.8. So that's a very decent auto. This is my best trade for the week by far. Best trade for the week by far. And then after this breakout, unfortunately, we saw another consolidation of silver. Consolidating, accumulating buyers. And then today, right, with the whole US-Iran situation escalating, tensions are high, uncertainty, I think, pushed this price up. And unfortunately, we didn't get another entry on silver. I would have loved to have another entry, but unfortunately, you know, this breakout right here of this falling wedge wasn't convincing enough for me. And it is what it is, guys. Sometimes the market just runs. Sometimes the market just runs away from you. Now, we did also take a few trades on gold, right? Not as big as the silver trade, but we did manage to make a little bit of money here and there. Okay, so here was the first trade of the week. Now, this is pretty much the same scenario. We had this temporary downtrend here. This was around the 16th of Feb. You know, last week, 2 weeks back, we had this little, you know, and I know the chart looks very messy now, but bear with me. We had this corrective pullback, I would say. All right, we had this huge drop. We had a correction, then we dropped again, right? And we corrected right into the supply zone, by the way, and we corrected down. Now, when we arrived here, here's the thing that I personally noticed, right? Wick, and price is just not, it didn't break any lows here. And because it didn't break any lows, that was a sign, obviously, of accumulation from buyers, right? We broke outside of this falling wedge, did not convincingly. We came back to the support level, and this is where we started to rally. This is where we started to see a very, very strong rally. Now, we had resistance here at the 4937 level. It tested that resistance. Price reacted to that resistance indeed, right? It came down. Now, here's the same principle, right? After this sharp move, it corrected in this beautiful falling wedge, and as soon as this wedge broke here, this was when? This was the 18th. This was Wednesday this week, right? I took the trade, and lo and behold, we smashed, right? 1:4 R to R. Also, one of the decent trades that I took. Now, moving to today, we saw the same thing, and please notice this: the market repeats itself, guys. The market repeats itself. This is the thing. And it's not always this simple, but you know, most of the time these general rules apply. Strong breakout. Then we had a corrective move. Then we had distribution again. And then we had a corrective move, right? This was today. As soon as price broke this falling wedge, we took the trade up to 5020. That was today's trade. That was today's winning trade. I didn't use crazy lots or anything, so I didn't make as much money on this as I had planned to, but you know, it is part of the game. Took another small trade here today. This one, you know, didn't really, I just wasn't really supposed to take it, but we closed out. I think I closed out around here, right? So I closed out, I backed out of this one, but yeah, so that's two decent trades, guys. And you know, in the years of me doing this, I'm only recently starting to see decent results, and as I said, by no means am I a millionaire, by no means am I someone special, and by no means am I a professional trader, but you know, we're learning together, and the reason we created this channel is to give people a realistic scope of trading. It doesn't always go your way. Sometimes I'm still impulsive, sometimes I still trade with my emotions, and I'm not supposed to do that. The best thing that you should do is trust your instincts sometimes, right? As I trusted my instincts with these falling wedges, and they paid off. They paid off. Sometimes this can happen. Sometimes you have a falling wedge, and sometimes it just breaks back down in structure, and that's what happens sometimes. But at the end of the day, this is a realistic glimpse. And yeah, I could have probably made more money had I taken bigger lots, but that was more risk. And that could mean compromising my account. So always apply good risk management. Always stick to your rules. And sometimes, most of the time, trust your analysis. it's a hard thing to do in the moment, I know. And sometimes you feel like you want to jump in and you know this is the right setup, but at that moment you hesitate and you don't jump in and you regret it later. But this is the thing. This is the reality of trading, guys. So this was one of my best trades this week. I stayed away from a Forex pair. Sometimes I do trade Forex pairs, but they're a little bit too slow for me. Although I must say that gold and silver this week were absolutely crazy in how they acted. Not a normal trading week at all. The market was very, very volatile. So yeah, be careful out there, guys. Make sure that you guys stick to your rules. Make sure that you guys keep applying risk management. And I hope for your part that 2026 will be a successful trading week for you. I hope next week will be a successful. Well, did I say week? I mean the trading year for you. And I hope next week is successful as well. But yeah, go and look at the mistakes that you've made. I'm going to go back and look at the mistakes I've made. Carry that over into the new week of trading and continue supporting ITN Trades.